Hi guys, it's Alex, and welcome back to another brand new episode of Cross Stitch. Now, most video game review websites and video game review channels will rate video games based on a number of different unnecessary factors, such as graphics, controls, the lux levels of the in-game candles, how many life orbs you can collect, and this guy. But not on this show. On this show, we rate video games based on one simple factor, and that is how similar they are to the 1998 masterpiece for the Nintendo 64 and PlayStation 1, Glover. Let's begin. The non-Glover video game we're going to be reviewing today is everyone's favorite sword game, Dark Souls, for the PlayStation 3. How does it stack up to this bad boy? Well, why don't you watch the video and find out. As we all know, Glover is the story of a wizard who had a mishap when he was mixing a potion and turned his gloves into sentient beings, one turning into the good Glover form, and the other turning into the evil Cross-Stitch form. Cross-Stitch then went on to steal the 7 crystals and hide them in various worlds around the castle. And now it's Glover's job to go around, find those crystals, and restore the wizard's powers back so he can save the town. So he can save the world. Now let's talk about Dark Souls. Dark Souls is a game where you play as the main character, Dark Souls, as you go around beating up all the big bad enemies and stealing their souls so you can restore peace to the world around you. In that way, these video games are very similar in that the crystals in Glover are very synonymous with the souls that you collect from the bosses in Dark Souls. You both have to collect them in each world, and then you have to bring them back and restore the worlds with them. So in that sense, they are very similar. But let's talk about some more similarities that they have. First off, we'll start with the obvious one, and that is rolling. Now, both of these video games feature rolling in some shape or form, although they aren't the same shape or form. In Dark Souls, it's more of a tumbling somersault roll, while as in Glover, it's more of a rolling on top of a ball circus-like roll. Although they both are rolling, this isn't the same thing, so it's not going to get full points from me. Another good similarity in this game is they both have a hub world. Glover's is obviously the castle that was owned by the wizard, and in Dark Souls, it's the Firelink Shrine. And I mean, they do look pretty similar. In fact, I think maybe they drew a little inspiration from Glover in designing the Firelink Shrine. Maybe the castle got derelict and broken down, and they built the Firelink Shrine around it. Just food for thought. Another big similarity that I've found is in the form of spells. Now, Dark Souls, they have things called sorceries. And in Glover, you can do this attack. Notice anything? I think this is an homage to Glover that the creators of Dark Souls put in the video game just to show that they're big fans. Also, I just want to talk about one thing. In the video game Dark Souls, there are dragons. In the video game Glover, there are dinosaurs. Listen, I'm sorry to say this, and I know it's going to be hard to hear, but dragons are dinosaurs, guys. I know your history teacher doesn't want you to know that, but it's true. Dragons are dinosaurs. So, in that case, this guy is this guy. That's cut and dry there. That's just a fact. Also, as I was looking back on some of my research, I was looking at some of the bosses in Dark Souls and realized something. Ornstein and Smaug, the Gargoyles, the Four Kings, all bosses that have multiple people in them. What other boss fight had multiple people in it? Let me think for a minute. You have a helpful friend in the video game Glover named Mr. Tip who gives you tips along the way. Now, this is sort of similar to the note system that Dark Souls has. However, people can be very mean on that, and I don't like it a lot. Now that we've gotten the similarities out of the way, let's talk about the main differences in this video game. In Dark Souls, you have swords and shields, and in Glover, you only have yourself. Now, I think they can improve Dark Souls by really just getting rid of all the swords and shields and only giving you a glove. I think that would make this video game a whole heck of a lot better, in my opinion. Another big difference in these games is that Glover goes to the moon. Does Mr. Dark Souls go to the moon? I didn't think so. And the final difference that I could find in these video games is this guy from Dark Souls. He gives off a really bad energy, and I do not vibe with it at all, and I absolutely hate looking at him and his skin mustache. Now that we've reviewed all the evidence, why don't we give this bad boy a rating? From all this information, I think Dark Souls is pretty much like Glover. There are a few key differences, but put that aside, just take it with the bare bones, and honestly, this is a pretty good Glover. That's why I'm going to give Dark Souls 5 out of 7 crystals. And that's all for today, guys. Please join us next week where we review another video game here on Cross Stitch.